I trusted him with my life. I trusted him with my mind. I trusted him with every fragile piece of myself that Alzheimer's was slowly stealing away. And every single night at 9 o'clock, my husband of 47 years would bring me that little white pill and a glass of water, kiss my forehead with those same lips that promised to love me in sickness and in health, and watch as I swallowed it down. He told me it was for my Alzheimer's. He told me the doctor prescribed it. He told me it would help me remember, help me stay present, help me hold on to the pieces of myself that were slipping through my fingers like sand. But that little white pill was not medicine. It was a weapon, and the man I loved more than my own life was using it against me every single night. My name is Eleanor, and I am 73 years old. 3 years ago, my doctor told me I had early onset Alzheimer's disease. 3 years ago, my world shattered into a million pieces. 3 years ago, I watched my husband Richard cry for the first time in our entire marriage as we sat in that cold, sterile office and listened to words like progressive and degenerative and irreversible. He held my hand so tight that day. He promised me he would take care of me. He promised me I would never face this alone. He promised me he would be my memory when mine failed. And I believed him. God help me. I believed every word. The first year was not so bad. I forgot small things. Where I put my keys, what I ate for breakfast, the name of our mailman who we had known for 15 years. Richard was patient. Richard was kind. Richard would gently remind me, his voice soft and loving, never frustrated, never angry. He started taking over more responsibilities, paying the bills, managing my medications, making my doctor's appointments. I was grateful. I was so grateful to have a husband who loved me enough to carry the burden I could no longer carry myself. I did not see what was really happening. I did not see the cage he was building around me, one tender gesture at a time. It started about 6 months ago. Richard came home from what he said was my doctor's appointment. I do not remember going, but that was not unusual. There were many things I did not remember by then. He sat me down at our kitchen table, the same table where we had shared thousands of meals, where we raised our children, where we celebrated birthdays and anniversaries, and every ordinary, beautiful day of our life together. He took my hands in his, and he looked into my eyes with such concern, such love, such devastating sincerity. He told me the doctor was worried about my progression. He told me I was getting worse, faster than expected. He told me there was a new medication, a strong medication, that I needed to take every night before bed. He said it might make me drowsy, might make me sleep deeper than usual, but that was normal. That was expected. That was part of the healing process. He said he would take care of everything. All I had to do was trust him. All I had to do was take the pill. So I did. I took that pill every single night at 9 o'clock. And every single night, within 20 minutes, a heavy fog would descend over my mind. My limbs would become impossibly heavy. My eyelids would droop, no matter how hard I fought to keep them open. And I would fall into a sleep so deep, so absolute, that nothing could wake me. Not the sound of footsteps in our bedroom, not the creak of floorboards, not the whisper of voices that did not belong, not the front door opening and closing in the dead of night. Nothing. I would wake up 12 hours later, groggy and disoriented, with gaps in my memory that terrified me. I would find bruises on my arms that I could not explain. I would discover my jewelry box slightly disorganized, pieces moved, pieces missing. I would notice muddy footprints in our hallway that were not there when I went to sleep. And when I asked Richard about these things, he would smile that patient smile and tell me I was confused. Tell me my memory was playing tricks on me. Tell me this was just the Alzheimer's. Tell me this was why I needed the medication. Tell me to trust him. But something deep inside me, some instinct that Alzheimer's had not yet stolen, whispered that something was wrong. Something was very wrong. I started to notice other things, strange things. Our savings account that Richard now controlled exclusively seemed to be shrinking faster than it should. Bills arrived in the mail that Richard quickly took from my hands, telling me not to worry, telling me he would handle it, telling me I should rest. Phone calls would come at odd hours, and Richard would step outside to take them, his voice low and urgent through the window. Our daughter Emily stopped visiting as often, and when she did come, there was a tension between her and Richard that I could feel even through the fog of my failing mind. She would look at me with such sadness, such worry, and she would ask me if I was okay, really okay, and Richard would interrupt before I could answer, would usher her out with excuses about me needing rest. I wanted to believe I was imagining it. I wanted to believe it was just my disease, just my broken brain, creating suspicions where none should exist. I wanted to believe that my husband, my Richard, the man who held me when our son was born, who danced with me in our living room to no music at all, who knew every scar on my body and every secret in my heart, would never hurt me. But that whisper inside me grew louder. And one night, 3 weeks ago, I made a decision that would change everything. I decided to fake taking the pill. It was harder than you might think. Richard was careful. Richard was thorough. He would hand me the pill and the water, and he would watch. He would sit beside me on our bed, and he would watch as I put the pill in my mouth, as I drank the water, as I swallowed. But I had been a mother. I had raised 2 children. I knew every trick in the book about hiding pills under tongues and inside cheeks. That night, I placed the pill against my gum, behind my back molars, and I swallowed the water with an exaggerated gulp. I let Richard see the empty inside of my mouth when I opened wide like he always asked me to. I let him kiss my forehead. I let him tuck me into bed like I was a child. And then I waited. I kept the pill hidden in my mouth for 10 minutes, fighting the urge to gag, fighting the bitter taste that spread across my tongue. When I heard Richard leave our bedroom, when I heard his footsteps descend the stairs, I spit the pill into my hand and stared at it. Such a small thing. Such an innocent-looking thing. I wrapped it in a tissue and hid it in my bedside drawer. Then I laid back down and I pretended to sleep. I closed my eyes and I kept my breathing slow and steady, and I waited to see what my husband would do when he thought I was unconscious. For the first hour, nothing happened. I heard the television downstairs. I heard Richard moving around in his normal evening routine. I heard the sounds of a normal night in a normal home. I started to feel foolish. I started to think maybe I really was just paranoid, just sick, just broken in my mind. I almost got up. I almost ended the charade, but then I heard it. Footsteps on the stairs, the bedroom door opening slowly, carefully, so quietly. I kept my eyes closed. I kept my breathing steady. Through my lashes, I could see Richard's silhouette in the doorway, backlit by the hallway light. He stood there for a long moment, just watching me. Then he whispered my name, Eleanor. No response from me. Eleanor, he said again, louder this time. I did not move. I heard him walk closer, felt the bed shift as he sat beside me. He shook my shoulder, not gently, but hard enough that it would wake anyone in a normal sleep. Wake up, Eleanor, he said. Nothing. I gave him nothing. Then I heard something that made my blood run cold. I heard him laugh. Not a cruel laugh, not an evil laugh, but a laugh of relief, a laugh of satisfaction. He stood up, and I heard him walk to our closet. I heard him moving things, heard the scrape of something heavy being pulled across the floor. Through my barely open eyes, I saw him drag out an old suitcase, one I had not seen in years. He placed it on the bed beside me, and he opened it. And inside that suitcase were things that did not belong to us. Jewelry that was not mine, electronics still in their boxes, envelopes thick with what looked like cash, credit cards with names I did not recognize, documents, passports, things that told a story I did not want to believe. Richard worked quickly. He pulled out his phone and he made a call. His voice was low, but I could hear every word in the silence of our bedroom. It is clear, he said. She is out for the night. You can come now. Bring the stuff, and we will sort it here. No, she will not wake up. She never does. The medication keeps her under for at least 12 hours. We have plenty of time. He hung up, and he walked out of the room, leaving the suitcase open on the bed beside me like it was the most natural thing in the world. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure he would hear it. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. My husband was involved in something illegal. My husband was using my illness, using my medication, using my unconscious body as cover for whatever criminal activity he was conducting. Our home was being used as some kind of storage facility, some kind of meeting place. And every night when he drugged me into oblivion, he and whoever he was working with had free rein to do whatever they wanted. How long had this been going on? How many nights had I slept through crimes being committed in my own home? How many times had strangers walked through our bedroom while I lay there helpless and unaware? I heard the front door open downstairs. I heard voices, multiple voices, men I did not recognize. I heard them talking and laughing, heard the sounds of things being moved, heard Richard directing them like this was a normal business meeting. I wanted to get up. I wanted to run. I wanted to call the police, but I was trapped. If I moved now, if I revealed that I was awake, I did not know what Richard would do. I did not know what these men would do. I was a 73-year-old woman with Alzheimer's, alone in my bedroom, while criminals conducted their business in my living room. So, I stayed frozen. I stayed silent. I stayed pretending to be the drugged and helpless wife that Richard needed me to be. The nights stretched on forever. I listened to them sort through stolen goods. I listened to them count money. I listened to them plan future jobs, future thefts, future crimes. And I listened to my husband coordinate it all, his voice confident and calm, nothing like the gentle, concerned husband who tucked me into bed every night. This was a Richard I did not know. This was a stranger wearing my husband's face. Around 2 a.m, I heard them start to pack things up. I heard Richard say they needed to clear out before dawn, before any neighbors might be awake. I heard them say goodbye. I heard the front door close. I heard silence. And then I heard Richard's footsteps on the stairs again. He came back into our bedroom and he carefully packed everything back into the suitcase. He dragged it back to the closet. He arranged things to look undisturbed, and then he climbed into bed beside me like nothing had happened. He put his arm around me like he had done for 47 years, and he fell asleep within minutes, his breathing deep and peaceful, a man with no conscience, no guilt, no remorse. I did not sleep. I could not sleep. I laid there until the sun came up, my mind spinning with questions and fear and heartbreak. When the alarm went off at 7, Richard woke up and stretched and kissed my cheek with his morning stubble. "Good morning, my love," he said. "How did you sleep?" I forced myself to play along. I yawned. I stretched. I told him I slept well. I let him help me out of bed like he always did. I let him make me breakfast like he always did. I sat across from him at our kitchen table, and I watched him read the newspaper and drink his coffee like he was still the man I married, like he had not spent the night running a criminal operation out of our home, like he had not been drugging me into unconsciousness to do it. Have you ever felt a moment when your entire reality shifts? When everything you thought you knew reveals itself to be a lie? When the person you trusted most in the world shows themselves to be a stranger? That is how I felt that morning. That is how I have felt every day since. Because I had a choice to make. I could confront Richard. I could call the police. I could tell our daughter. I could blow his entire operation apart. But I am a 73-year-old woman with Alzheimer's disease. Who would believe me? Richard controls all my medical records. Richard controls all my medications. Richard controls my relationship with my doctors. If I accused him, what would he do? Would he tell everyone I was having delusions? That my disease had progressed? That I was not competent anymore? Would he have me committed? Would he increase my medication until I really could not tell reality from confusion? Would he do something worse? I was terrified. I was trapped, and I did not know what to do, so I kept pretending. I faked taking the pill again the next night, and the next night, and the next. I hid each pill in my bedside drawer, a growing collection of evidence that I could not use, and every few nights, I would stay awake and watch Richard conduct his business. I learned the patterns. I learned the players. I learned that this had been going on for over a year, starting right around the time he told me about my new medication. I learned that the medication was not for Alzheimer's at all. It was a powerful sedative, probably something he got illegally, something designed to knock me out so completely that I would never know what was happening in my own home. I learned that our financial problems were not because of my medical bills like Richard claimed, but because he had gambling debts, serious gambling debts, debts to dangerous people. I learned that he had gotten involved with a theft ring to pay off those debts, and he had turned our home into their headquarters, because who would ever suspect the house of an elderly woman with Alzheimer's? I learned that my husband had not just betrayed me. He had used my illness as a tool. He had weaponized my vulnerability. He had taken the most devastating diagnosis of my life and turned it into cover for his crimes. Every tender moment, every gentle word, every patient smile had been a lie, a performance, a manipulation. The man I loved did not exist. Maybe he never had. But here is something you need to understand. Something I need you to hear. Because maybe you are watching this and you are dealing with Alzheimer's, either yourself or with someone you love. Maybe you are feeling helpless. Maybe you are feeling vulnerable. Maybe you are afraid of losing yourself, afraid of becoming dependent, afraid of being at the mercy of others. I need you to know that you are not alone. I need you to know that your fear is valid. I need you to know that your struggle matters. And I need you to know that even when your mind is failing, even when your memories are slipping away, there is still still a part of you that knows truth from lies, that feels when something is wrong, that deserves to be heard and believed and protected. If you have ever felt dismissed because of your illness, if you have ever had someone tell you that your concerns are just confusion, if you have ever questioned your own reality because everyone around you says you are wrong, I want you to do something for me right now. I want you to leave a comment. I want you to type these words. I trust my instincts even when my memory fails, because that is the truth. Your instincts matter. Your feelings matter. You matter. And when you leave that comment, you are not just validating your own experience. You are telling someone else who is watching, someone else who is afraid, someone else who thinks they are alone, that they are not. You are building a community of people who understand, who believe each other, who refuse to be silenced or dismissed. So please, leave that comment right now. I trust my instincts even when my memory fails. Let us fill this space with those words. Let us remind each other that we are still here, still aware, still deserving of dignity and truth. Thank you, truly. Thank you for being here, for listening, for seeing me as more than just my diagnosis. Now let me tell you what happened next, because this story is not over, not by a long shot. I knew I needed help, but I did not know who to trust. Richard had isolated me so effectively over the past 3 years. Our friends had drifted away, partly because of my illness, partly because Richard discouraged visitors, saying I needed quiet and routine. Our son lived across the country and called rarely, his own life too busy to notice the changes in mine. That left Emily, our daughter. Emily who looked at me with worried eyes. Emily who sensed something was wrong even if she could not name it. I decided I had to take a risk. I had to trust her. The next time Emily came to visit, I waited until Richard left the room. He had gone to answer the phone, another one of those mysterious calls he always took in private. I grabbed Emily's hand and I looked into her eyes and I said the words as quickly as I could before he came back. I whispered that I needed to talk to her alone, that it was important, that she had to trust me. She looked startled, but she nodded. When Richard returned, Emily told him she wanted to take me out for lunch, just the two of us, a mother-daughter day. Richard hesitated. I saw the calculation in his eyes, the risk assessment, but he could not refuse without looking suspicious, without looking controlling. So he agreed, reminding me to take my noon medication that he would pack for me, reminding Emily to have me home by 3 for my rest, reminding us both that I tired easily and got confused in new environments. The concern in his voice sounded so real, the care in his eyes looked so genuine. If I did not know better, I would have believed he truly loved me. Emily drove us to a small cafe on the other side of town, somewhere Richard would not think to look for us. We sat in a corner booth and she ordered us coffee and she took my hands and she asked me what was wrong. And I told her everything. I told her about the pills. I told her about faking sleep. I told her about what I had seen at 2 in the morning. I told her about the suitcase full of stolen goods. I told her about the men in our house. I told her about Richard's debts and his crimes and his lies. I watched her face as I spoke, watched the emotions shift from concern to disbelief, to horror to anger, and then I saw something that broke my heart. I saw doubt. I saw her wondering if this was real, or if this was my Alzheimer's, if I was telling her the truth, or if I was confused, if my mother was still in there, or if the disease had taken her completely. Mom, she said slowly, carefully, the way you speak to someone fragile. Mom, are you sure? Are you sure this really happened? Could it have been a dream? Could you have been confused? Dad said your hallucinations have been getting worse. Dad said the doctor warned that you might start having paranoid delusions as the disease progresses. Mom, I need you to really think. Is it possible you imagined this? I felt something crack inside my chest. My own daughter did not believe me. Richard had prepared for this moment. Richard had planted the seeds of doubt long before I ever said a word. He had told Emily I was having hallucinations. He had told her I was getting paranoid. He had built a narrative where anything I said could be dismissed as the ravings of a sick mind. And it was working. I reached into my purse, my hands shaking. I pulled out a tissue. I unwrapped it carefully, and I showed Emily the pills. 5 of them. 5 nights of evidence. I did not take them, I said. I have been pretending to take them and he thinks I am asleep, but I am not. I am awake, Emily. I am awake, and I am seeing things I wish I could unsee. These pills are not for Alzheimer's. They are sedatives. He is drugging me so I will not know what he is doing in our house. Please, please believe me. I know my mind is failing, but I am not wrong about this. I am not confused about this. This is real. Emily stared at the pills in my hand. She picked one up, examined it, turned it over between her fingers. She pulled out her phone and she took a picture of the pill and she did a reverse image search right there at the table. And I watched her face change as she read the results. I watched realization dawn. I watched belief replace doubt. Mom, she whispered. Mom, this is Zolpidem. This is a heavy-duty sleeping pill. This is not an Alzheimer's medication. She looked up at me with tears in her eyes. Oh my God. Mom, I am so sorry. I should have believed you. I should have listened. What has he been doing to you? We sat there for a long moment, holding hands across the table, both of us crying. Then Emily squared her shoulders and she became the fierce, protective daughter I needed her to be. We are going to fix this, she said. We are going to stop him, but we have to be smart about it. If we confront him, he will deny everything. He will say you are confused and I am being manipulated by your confusion. We need evidence, real evidence, evidence that cannot be explained away. We made a plan. Emily would install a hidden camera in my bedroom, one of those small ones that looks like a phone charger, something Richard would never notice. I would keep faking taking the pills. We would record what happened in the middle of the night. We would gather evidence until we had enough to go to the police, enough that they could not dismiss it, enough that Richard could not talk his way out of it. It was dangerous. If Richard discovered what we were doing, I did not know what he would do, but it was the only way. Emily drove me home at exactly 3 o'clock like Richard had instructed. She walked me inside and she chatted with Richard about our nice lunch, about how I had seemed alert and happy, about what a good day it had been. She hugged me goodbye and she slipped the camera into my hand as she did, small and cold and full of promise. After she left, I went upstairs to rest like I always did, and I plugged that camera into the outlet beside my bed, pointed directly at the closet where Richard hid his suitcase. Then I laid down, and I closed my eyes, and I prayed that we were doing the right thing. That night, Richard brought me my pill at 9 o'clock. I went through the familiar routine. I tucked it against my gum. I swallowed the water. I showed him my empty mouth. I let him tuck me in, and then I waited. An hour later, right on schedule, Richard came upstairs to check on me. He shook me hard. He called my name. I gave him nothing. And then he made a phone call. He told whoever was on the other end that the coast was clear, that they could come over, that they had a big shipment to sort through tonight. He dragged the suitcase out of the closet. He opened it right there in front of the camera, and he went downstairs to let his partners in crime into our home. I stayed in bed this time. I did not watch. I did not need to. The camera was seeing everything. The camera was recording everything. The camera was gathering the evidence that would finally set me free. I heard them all night, heard them moving things, heard them talking, heard Richard orchestrating it all. And when the sun came up and Richard packed everything away and climbed into bed beside me like nothing had happened, I knew we had him. I knew it was almost over. Emily came back 2 days later. She retrieved the camera while Richard was outside mowing the lawn. We watched the footage together on her laptop in my bedroom with the door locked and the volume low. We watched Richard drug me. We watched him check that I was unconscious. We watched him pull out stolen merchandise. We watched strange men come into my bedroom. We watched them sort through jewelry and electronics and cash. We watched hours of evidence of theft and conspiracy and God knows what else. And then Emily called the police. They came the next morning. 6 officers with a warrant to search our home. Richard was furious. He was indignant. He demanded to know what this was about. He played the concerned husband perfectly, telling the officers that his wife had Alzheimer's, that she had been having delusions, that surely this was all just a terrible misunderstanding. But Emily was there. Emily showed them the footage. Emily showed them the pills I had been hiding. Emily showed them the medical records she had requested from my actual doctor, records that showed no prescription for Zolpidem, records that showed Richard had been lying about my medications for over a year. And when the officers searched our home, they found the suitcase. They found the stolen goods. They found evidence of everything I had witnessed in those dark early morning hours. Richard was arrested. He was charged with theft, conspiracy, elder abuse, unlawful imprisonment, and 6 other crimes I do not even fully understand. The men he was working with were arrested too. The whole operation came crashing down, and I was finally safe, finally free, finally believed. But here is the thing they do not tell you about moments like this. Here is the truth that no one prepares you for. Even though I was vindicated, even though I was right, even though everyone now knew I had been telling the truth, I was still broken. Because the man I loved for 47 years was gone. Not just arrested, but gone in a deeper way. He had never been who I thought he was. Our entire marriage, all those decades of memories that Alzheimer's was already stealing from me, were now tainted. How much of it had been real? How much of it had been lies? When he held me on our wedding day, was he already capable of what he did to me now? When he cried at the birth of our children, was there already something dark inside him? Or had he changed over the years, become someone new, someone I never knew? I will never have answers to those questions. And that might be the worst part of all. I live with Emily now. She has a spare bedroom and she has taken over my care. Real care, not the twisted version Richard provided. She takes me to a real doctor who prescribed real Alzheimer's medication, the kind that actually helps. The kind that is not designed to render me unconscious and vulnerable. My memory is still failing. The disease is still progressing. There are days when I do not remember Emily's name, days when I forget where I am, days when the past and present blur together in ways I cannot untangle. But I am safe now. I am protected now. And I am believed. Richard's trial is coming up soon. Emily says I will have to testify. I am terrified that I will forget important details, that my confusion will make me seem unreliable, that a good defense attorney will use my Alzheimer's against me the same way Richard did. But Emily reminds me that we have the footage. We have the evidence. We have proof that cannot be explained away by my failing memory. And she will be there beside me. She will not let them silence me. She will not let them dismiss me. She will make sure my truth is heard. You know what the doctors told me after everything came out? They told me that the trauma of what Richard did, the stress of those months of being drugged and deceived, actually accelerated my cognitive decline. They told me that elder abuse in Alzheimer's patients often worsens their symptoms, that the fear and confusion and betrayal I experienced damaged my brain even further. So Richard did not just steal from others. He did not just use my illness as cover for his crimes. He actively made my illness worse. He stole time from me, precious time. Time I could have spent with my real memories instead of drugged and unconscious. He stole my sense of safety. He stole my ability to trust. He stole parts of my mind that I will never get back. But he did not steal everything. He did not steal my instincts. He did not steal that voice inside me that knew something was wrong. He did not steal my courage to fake those pills even though I was terrified. He did not steal my love for my daughter or her love for me. He did not steal my will to fight, to survive, to demand justice. Alzheimer's is taking my memories. Yes, Alzheimer's is taking my ability to remember yesterday or recognize familiar faces or know what year it is. But Alzheimer's has not taken me. Not completely. Not yet. I am still here. I am still Eleanor, and I am still fighting. If you are watching this and you are in a situation where you feel vulnerable, where you feel like no one will believe you because of your age or your illness or your circumstances, please hear me. Your voice matters. Your truth matters. You deserve to be heard and believed and protected. Do not let anyone, not even people who claim to love you, use your vulnerability as a weapon against you. Trust your instincts. Seek help. Find someone who will listen. You are not confused. You are not imagining things. You know when something is wrong, and you have every right to fight back. There is a community here of people who understand what you are going through, people who see you not as a diagnosis, but as a whole person deserving of dignity and respect. If you found strength in this story, if you felt less alone hearing it, I hope you will stay connected to this space. This channel is dedicated to sharing stories like mine, stories of resilience and survival and truth. Every week there are new stories, new voices, new reminders that you are not alone in whatever battle you are fighting. If you subscribe to this channel, you become part of that community. You join a space where people believe each other, support each other, validate each other's experiences. You do not have to face your struggles in isolation. There is strength in numbers. There is power in shared stories. Hit that subscribe button not because I am asking you to, but because you deserve to have a place where you feel understood and seen and valued. This channel is that place, and I hope you will be part of it. I want to tell you something else. something that the police discovered during their investigation, something that makes this whole story even darker than I thought possible. When they arrested Richard's associates, when they started unraveling the full extent of the operation, they found records, detailed records. Richard had been documenting everything, not for legal purposes, but for his own protection, to have leverage over the other criminals if he ever needed it. And in those records were lists of other people they had targeted, other vulnerable people whose homes they were using, other victims who, like me, had conditions or circumstances that made them easy targets, easy to manipulate, easy to silence. There were 3 other elderly individuals with dementia or Alzheimer's. There was a man recovering from a stroke who had limited mobility and communication. There was a woman with severe depression who rarely left her bedroom, all of them being drugged, all of them being used, all of their homes turned into storage facilities or meeting places for stolen goods. And none of them knew. None of them had any idea what was happening in their own homes while they slept their forced chemical sleep. The police contacted all of them. They rescued all of them. And I cannot help but think that if I had not faked that pill, if I had not trusted my instincts, if Emily had not believed me, those people would still be trapped. They would still be victims. So maybe my suffering had a purpose. Maybe my fight helped save others. I have to believe that. I have to find meaning in what happened to me, or else it will destroy what little mind I have left. Emily asked me recently if I regret marrying Richard, if I wish I could erase those 47 years, start over, choose differently. I told her I do not know. How can I regret something that gave me her, that gave me my son, even though he is still struggling to process all of this and has not called in weeks? How can I regret a life that had moments of genuine joy, even if those moments are now colored by betrayal? But I also cannot say I would do it again. I cannot say I would choose him. If I could go back to my 25-year-old self, standing at that altar in my white dress with flowers in my hair, and whisper in her ear about what was to come, would she still say I do? I honestly do not know. And maybe that is the saddest part of all. Not knowing if my life was worth the pain. Not knowing if the good years justified the bad ones. Not knowing if love is real when it ends in such complete destruction. My therapist, and yes, I see a therapist now, tells me that I need to focus on the fact that I survived, that I fought back, that I won. But some days it does not feel like winning. Some days it feels like I just traded one kind of prison for another. Instead of being trapped by Richard's drugs, I am trapped by my own failing brain. Instead of being helpless in my bedroom at night, I am helpless against the progression of this disease. Instead of not knowing who to trust, I am not knowing who I am. The Alzheimer's is getting worse. Last week I forgot Emily's name for an entire day. I called her Sarah, which was my sister's name, and my sister has been dead for 10 years. Yesterday I got lost in Emily's house, could not remember where the bathroom was even though I have lived here for 6 months. This morning I woke up and thought I was 20 years old, asked where my parents were, panicked when Emily tried to tell me they had been gone for decades. The moments of clarity are becoming fewer and farther between. Soon there will be more fog than light. Soon I will not remember any of this. Not Richard, not the trial, not the night I faked the pill, not even this moment, sitting here, telling you my story. So I am telling it now, while I still can. I am speaking my truth while I still have the words. I am making sure that someone, somewhere, knows what happened to Eleanor. Because soon Eleanor will be gone, replaced by a shell, a body without memories, a woman without a past. Alzheimer's will finish what Richard started. It will erase me completely, but at least my story will remain. At least someone will know that I was here, that I fought, that I mattered. That has to be enough. I have to believe that is enough. The trial starts in 2 weeks. Emily is preparing me, helping me practice my testimony, helping me remember the key details. But we both know there is a chance I will not be coherent enough to testify when the day comes. There is a chance I will sit in that witness stand and not remember why I am there, who Richard is, what he did. The prosecution has the video footage, so my testimony is not technically necessary, but I want to do it. I need to do it. I need to look Richard in the eye one more time and tell him what he did to me. I need him to hear, from my own lips, the damage he caused. I need that moment of confrontation, that moment of power, before Alzheimer's takes even that away from me. Emily showed me something yesterday. She had been going through old photo albums, trying to help me hold on to memories. trying to use pictures as anchors for my failing mind. She showed me a photograph from our 30th wedding anniversary. Richard and I are standing in front of a lake, his arm around my waist, both of us smiling. We look happy. We look like a couple in love. We look like people who chose each other and never regretted it. And I do not remember that day at all. Not the lake, not the anniversary, not the happiness on my face. It is gone, erased by disease or trauma or time. And I find myself wondering if it was ever real to begin with. Was Richard's smile genuine in that moment? Or was he already planning, already scheming, already becoming the man who would one day drug me into unconsciousness so he could commit crimes in our home? Can a photograph lie? Can a memory be false even when you are certain it is true? I do not have answers. I only have questions that multiply the more I think about them. But here is what I do know. I know that vulnerability is not weakness. I know that needing help does not make you helpless. I know that losing your memory does not mean losing your worth. I know that even when the world tries to silence you, even when your own mind betrays you, there is still a core of self that knows truth. I know that love should protect, not harm. I know that care should empower, not control. I know that no one, no matter how much they claim to love you, has the right to use your illness against you. These things I know. These things Alzheimer's cannot steal. These things I will hold on to until the very end. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for believing me. Thank you for being part of this community where voices like mine are heard and valued. If this resonated with you, if you felt something while hearing my truth, please do not keep it to yourself. Share this story. Like this video. Leave that comment we talked about earlier. I trust my instincts even when my memory fails. Let those words echo through this space. Let them reach someone who needs to hear them. Let them be a reminder that we are not defined by our limitations, but by our courage in the face of them. And please, stay connected here. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss a story, because every story shared is another person who fought back, who survived, who refused to be silenced. Every story is a beacon for someone still trapped, still suffering, still thinking they are alone. You are not alone. I am not alone. We are a community. We are a force. We are proof that even the most vulnerable among us have power when we choose to use our voices. So use yours. Tell your story, or listen to others. But stay. Be part of this. Because together we are stronger than any disease, any betrayal, any person who tries to diminish us. Together, we are unbreakable. Now I need to tell you about the twist, because there is something I have not said yet, something the investigation revealed, something that changed everything I thought I understood about Richard's betrayal. When the police went through Richard's records, when they traced his financial history, when they followed the money, they discovered something I did not expect. The gambling debts were real, the criminal activity was real, but the timeline was wrong. Richard did not start drugging me to cover his crimes. He started committing crimes to pay for something else entirely, something he thought I would never discover, something he hid even more carefully than the stolen goods. 2 years ago, around the same time I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, Richard was diagnosed with something too, stage 4 pancreatic cancer, terminal, inoperable. The doctors gave him 6 months. He did not tell me. He did not tell anyone. He went through his appointments alone, he researched his prognosis alone, and he made a decision. He decided he was going to die before me. He decided he would not be there to take care of me as my Alzheimer's progressed. He decided I would end up in a nursing home, alone and confused, with no one to advocate for me, no one to protect me, and he could not bear it. So he started gambling, desperately, recklessly, trying to win enough money to pay for my long-term care after he was gone, trying to build a nest egg that would keep me safe and comfortable for however many years I had left. But he did not win. He lost. He lost everything, our savings, our retirement, our home equity, everything. And when he could not gamble anymore because he had nothing left to bet, he got involved with the theft ring. He told himself it was for me. He told himself he was doing it to protect me, to provide for me, to make sure I would be okay when he was gone. He rationalized every crime as an act of love. And the sleeping pills. He started giving me those because he did not want me to see him deteriorating. He did not want me to watch him get sicker. He did not want me to know he was dying because he thought it would confuse me, upset me, make my Alzheimer's worse. So he drugged me, and he conducted his illegal business, and he tried to build a fortune to secure my future, all while his own body was destroying itself from the inside. By the time he was arrested, the cancer had metastasized everywhere. He was not supposed to still be alive. He had outlived his prognosis by 18 months through sheer stubborn will. He had stayed alive to take care of me, even as he hurt me. He had stayed alive to save me, even as he destroyed us both. When Emily told me this, when she showed me his medical records that the lawyers had subpoenaed, I did not know how to feel. I still do not know how to feel. Does his illness excuse what he did to me? Does his intention to provide for my future justify drugging me into oblivion every night? Does love that manifests as control and deception and crime still count as love? Or is it something else entirely? Something twisted and broken that only looks like love from certain angles? Richard died 3 days ago. The cancer finally won. He died in a hospital bed, under guard, technically still in police custody even though he was too weak to be a flight risk. Emily went to see him at the end. I did not. I could not. She said he asked for me. She said he wanted to apologize. She said he cried and said he was sorry, that he never meant to hurt me, that everything he did was because he loved me too much to let me face the future alone and helpless. She said he made her promise to take care of me, to never let me end up in a facility, to keep me safe. She said his last words were my name, Eleanor, just that, just my name, and then he was gone. I do not know if I have forgiven him. I do not know if I ever will. I do not even know if forgiveness is the right framework for something this complicated. He hurt me. He terrified me. He violated my trust in ways that can never be repaired. But he was also dying and desperate and trying to solve an impossible problem with no good options. He was a man watching the two people he loved most, himself and me, being destroyed by diseases neither of us chose. And he made terrible decisions in response to that unbearable reality. Does that make him a villain? A victim? Both? Neither? I am too tired to figure it out. I am too close to my own end to spend my remaining clear moments untangling the morality of his choices. What I know is this: I am still here. He is not. The story continues for me even though it has ended for him, and I have to decide what to do with the time I have left, however long or short that might be. I have to decide if I want to carry anger and hurt with me into the fog, or if I want to try to find some kind of peace. I have to decide if our 47 years together were a lie or if they were real once, before illness and fear corrupted them into something unrecognizable. I have to decide who Richard was, who I was, who we were together, and I have to do all of that while my brain is actively erasing the evidence I would need to make those decisions. So I am choosing to tell this story as truth. Complicated, messy, painful truth. Richard drugged me. Richard used me. Richard hurt me. And Richard loved me. And Richard tried to save me. And Richard destroyed everything in the attempt. All of those things are true simultaneously. They do not cancel each other out. They just exist together in the terrible, complicated space that real life occupies. The space that is never as simple as villain and victim, never as clear as right and wrong. If you are dealing with someone you love who is making choices you do not understand, choices that hurt you, choices that feel like betrayal, I cannot tell you what to do. I cannot tell you whether to forgive or to walk away, or to hold on to anger or to find peace. Those are your decisions to make. But I can tell you that people are complicated, that love is complicated, that illness, both physical and mental, changes people in ways we cannot predict or control, and that sometimes there are no good guys and bad guys, just broken people trying their best and failing spectacularly. You get to decide what you can live with, you get to decide what you can forgive, you get to decide what your boundaries are and what happens when someone crosses them. No one else gets to make those choices for you. Not me, not society, not even the person who hurt you, no matter how much they claim they did it out of love. My time is running out. I can feel it. The fog is getting thicker. The clear moments are getting rarer. Soon I will not be able to tell you any stories at all because I will not remember that I have stories to tell. So I am grateful for this moment, this one moment of clarity where I can speak my truth and know that it will outlive my memory of speaking it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being here. You have given me a gift by witnessing this story. You have made my pain mean something. And in the end, maybe that is all any of us can hope for, that our struggles matter, that our voices are heard, that we existed and fought and loved and lost and it all meant something to someone. Please remember me. Please remember Eleanor, the woman who faked the pill, the woman who caught her husband at 2 a.m, the woman who fought back even when everyone thought she was too sick, too confused, too far gone to know her own truth. Remember that I was here. Remember that I mattered. And when your own memory starts to fail, when your own mind starts to betray you, remember that you matter too. You always matter, right up until the very end and beyond. Your story deserves to be told. Your voice deserves to be heard. And I hope you will find the courage to speak, even when it is hard, even when you are afraid, even when you think no one will believe you. Speak anyway, fight anyway, matter anyway, because you do. I promise you, you do. I need to tell you more. There are things I have not said yet, pieces of this story that deserve to be spoken while I still have words, because the days after Richard's death have revealed even more layers to this nightmare, more truths that I am still trying to process, still trying to understand through the increasingly thick fog of my deteriorating mind. Emily found a letter. Richard had written it months ago and left it with his lawyer, instructions to deliver it to me after his death. The lawyer brought it to Emily, said Richard had been very specific about the timing, very insistent that I should have it when he was gone. Emily read it first, trying to determine if it would help me or hurt me, trying to protect me the way she has protected me through all of this. Then she sat me down in the living room, on a day when my mind was relatively clear, and she handed me the envelope. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were 3 pages in Richard's handwriting, the letters getting shakier and more uneven as the pages progressed, evidence of how sick he had been even as he wrote it. The letter started with an apology, lines and lines of apology. I am sorry, Eleanor. I am so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I never meant to scare you. I never meant for any of this to happen the way it did. Please forgive me. Please understand. Please know that everything I did was because I loved you and I was terrified of leaving you alone. He wrote about the day he got his diagnosis, sitting in a different doctor's office than the one where we had learned about my Alzheimer's just months before. He wrote about the devastating irony of it, both of us being handed death sentences in the same year, both of us having our futures stolen by diseases we could not control. He wrote about his first thought when the oncologist told him he had 6 months to live. His first thought was not about himself, not about his own death, but about me. What would happen to me? Who would take care of me? How could he leave me alone to face the progression of Alzheimer's without him? He wrote about the decision not to tell me. He said he knew it was wrong, knew it was a betrayal, but he convinced himself it was necessary. He said watching me struggle with my own diagnosis was hard enough, and he could not bear to add his dying to my burden. He said he wanted to protect me from that pain, wanted to give me whatever time we had left without both of us drowning in grief. So he went to his cancer treatments alone, told me he was running errands or meeting friends. He suffered through chemotherapy in secret, came home and pretended everything was fine, held me when I cried about forgetting things, never once letting on that he was forgetting things too, important things, things like how to be honest with the person you love. Then he wrote about the money, about the gambling. He said it started as one bet, just one, a desperate attempt to turn our dwindling savings into something substantial, something that could pay for years of memory care in a good facility when he was gone. He said he almost won big that first time, came so close, and that near win made him believe he could do it, could beat the odds, could save me through sheer force of will and luck. But of course he did not win. No one ever does. The house always wins. And he kept trying, kept betting, kept losing, kept spiraling. He said it was like a sickness, the gambling, almost as bad as the cancer eating through his organs. He said he knew it was destroying us, but he could not stop, because stopping meant accepting that he had failed, that he could not protect me, that I would end up warehoused in some underfunded nursing home where no one would know my name, or my story, or the woman I used to be. He wrote about meeting the people in the theft ring. He said they approached him, somehow knew he was desperate, somehow sensed his vulnerability the way predators always do. They offered him a solution, easy money, low risk. All he had to do was provide a location, a safe house where they could store merchandise temporarily. They said his situation was perfect for it. A wife with Alzheimer's who would not remember if she saw anything. A quiet neighborhood where no one paid much attention. A man with nothing to lose because he was already dying. Richard said he knew it was wrong. He said he knew it was criminal. But he told himself it was victimless, that insurance companies would cover the losses, that he was not really hurting anyone. He said he told himself a lot of lies in those months. Lies about what he was doing. lies about why he was doing it, lies about who he was becoming. And then he wrote about the pills. This part of the letter was the hardest to read. His handwriting got even shakier here, the words smudged in places like he had been crying while he wrote them. He said he started giving me the sleeping medication because I had woken up one night when his associates were there. I do not remember this. It is gone, erased by the Alzheimer's or blocked by trauma, or just lost in the vast darkness where so many of my memories now live. But Richard remembered. He said I had come downstairs in my nightgown, confused and disoriented, asking who these men were and what they were doing in our house. He said his associates had looked at him with alarm, with threat, with an unspoken question about whether I was a liability they needed to handle, and Richard panicked. He got me back upstairs, told the men I would not remember, told them my Alzheimer's made me unreliable, but he knew he needed a more permanent solution. He needed to make sure I never woke up during their operations again, so he got the Zolpidem. He crushed it into my evening tea at first, then switched to the pill routine when I got suspicious about the tea tasting bitter. He said drugging me was the worst thing he ever did, worse than the gambling, worse than the theft, worse than all the lies combined, because everything else he could justify as being for me, but the pills were undeniably against me. The pills took away my agency. The pills made me a prisoner in my own home. The pills put me at risk every single night. He said he knew it, and he hated himself for it, but he did not stop because stopping meant giving up on the plan, giving up on earning enough money to secure my future, admitting that he had destroyed everything for nothing. So he kept bringing me that pill every night at 9 o'clock, and he kept watching me take it, and he kept checking to make sure I was unconscious before he conducted his business. And he kept telling himself he was doing it out of love. The letter ended with a plea. He begged me to forgive him. He begged me to understand that he was a desperate man who made terrible choices in an impossible situation. He begged me to remember the good years, the decades before illness turned us both into people we did not recognize. He said he knew I probably could not forgive him, probably should not forgive him, but he needed to ask anyway. He needed me to know that his last thoughts were of me, that his love for me was real, even if his expression of that love became twisted and harmful. He said he hoped I would find peace, hoped Emily would take good care of me, hoped I would forget all of this eventually, hoped the Alzheimer's would be a mercy in this one way, erasing the memories of what he did so I could just slip away into the darkness without carrying the weight of his betrayal. Then there was a postscript, a final note added in even shakier handwriting, clearly written at a different time, maybe days or weeks after the main letter. It said, "Eleanor, I saw the camera. I knew what you were doing. I knew you were faking the pills. I could have stopped you. I could have forced you to take them. I could have found another way, but I did not. I let you catch me. I let you record everything, because part of me wanted to be caught. Part of me wanted it to end. Part of me was relieved when the police came because it meant I could finally stop pretending, stop struggling, stop trying to save you by destroying us both. I let you win, Eleanor, because you deserve to win, because you were always stronger than me, because even with Alzheimer's stealing your mind, you were still more clear-headed and courageous than I ever was. I am proud of you. I am sorry I hurt you, and I love you. I have always loved you, even when I showed that love in the worst possible ways. I have read that letter 50 times, maybe more. I read it every day, sometimes multiple times a day, because I keep forgetting I already read it. Every time feels like the first time. Every time breaks my heart in new ways. Every time I am left with the same impossible questions. Did Richard let me catch him? Was my victory not really mine, but a gift from him? One final manipulation disguised as surrender? Or is that postscript just another lie? One more attempt to control the narrative, to make himself the hero even in his villain origin story? Did he really know about the camera? Or did he only find out later, after he was caught, and add that postscript to reframe his failure as intentional? I will never know. The only person who could tell me is dead. And soon I will be too far gone to even remember to ask. Emily thinks I should let it go. She thinks I should stop reading the letter, stop trying to untangle Richard's motivations, stop caring about whether he loved me or used me or both. She says it does not matter anymore, that he is gone, and I should focus on my own life, my own healing, my own remaining time. And maybe she is right. Maybe I am wasting my precious clear moments obsessing over a dead man's words, instead of making new memories with my daughter, instead of appreciating the safety and care I have now, instead of finding some kind of peace before the Alzheimer's takes me completely. but I cannot let it go. Not yet. Because understanding what happened to me, understanding why it happened, feels important in a way I cannot quite articulate. It feels like the difference between being a victim and being a survivor. It feels like the difference between my life meaning something and it all being just a series of terrible things that happened to me with no purpose, no lesson, no point. Maybe that is what I am really doing here, telling you this story. Maybe I am trying to create meaning where none exists. Maybe I am trying to turn my suffering into something useful, something that could help someone else. Someone watching this who needs to hear that they are not alone, that their confusion is not just their disease, that their instincts matter, that they have the right to question and investigate and protect themselves even when everyone tells them they are too sick to know their own truth. If even one person watches this video and decides to trust that whisper inside them that says something is wrong, if even one person fakes the pill or checks the camera or asks for help because my story gave them courage, then maybe it was all worth it. Maybe Richard's betrayal and my fight and the destruction of everything we built together had a purpose after all. Maybe pain can be transformed into purpose if you are willing to speak it out loud, to share it, to let it be witnessed by others who understand. I want to talk directly to you now. You, the person watching this. You, who has made it this far into my story. You, who has stayed with me through every painful detail. I see you. I know why you are here. You are here because something in the title of this video resonated with you. You are here because you or someone you love is dealing with Alzheimer's or dementia or some other condition that makes you vulnerable. You are here because you know what it feels like to not be believed, to be dismissed, to have your concerns waved away as confusion or paranoia or symptoms of your disease. You are here because you are looking for proof that you are not crazy, that your instincts are valid, that you have the right to advocate for yourself even when your memory fails. And I am telling you right now, with whatever authority a 73-year-old woman with Alzheimer's can claim, you are right to trust yourself. You are right to question. You are right to investigate when something feels wrong. Your illness does not make you incompetent. Your memory loss does not make you unreliable. Your vulnerability does not make you unworthy of protection and dignity and truth. You are still a whole person deserving of respect and agency and love that does not come with conditions or control. Do not let anyone, not doctors or caregivers or family members or people who claim to have your best interests at heart, make you doubt your own reality. If something feels wrong, it probably is wrong, and you have every right to do something about it. Now I need you to do something for me, for us, for this community we are building together. If my story meant something to you, if you felt seen and heard and validated, I need you to leave a comment right now. Do not just watch and move on. Do not just feel something and let it fade. Take action. Leave a comment that says, I trust my instincts even when my memory fails. Those 9 words. That simple statement. Put it in the comments right now, because when you do that, you are not just engaging with a video. You are making a declaration. You are claiming your power. You are saying to yourself and to the world that you matter, that your perceptions matter, that your truth matters. And you are also sending a message to everyone else who reads the comments, everyone else who is scared and confused and wondering if they are imagining things. You are telling them they are not alone. You are creating a chorus of voices that says, we are here. We see you. We believe you. Your truth is valid. So please, pause this video if you need to. Go down to the comments section. Type those words. I trust my instincts even when my memory fails. It will take you 10 seconds, but those 10 seconds could change everything for someone who desperately needs to hear they are not alone. Do it now. I will wait. Thank you. Truly. From the bottom of my failing heart, thank you. You have just participated in something bigger than yourself. You have just added your voice to a movement of people who refuse to be silenced by illness or age, or anyone who tries to use our vulnerability against us. You have just made this space a little bit safer, a little bit more supportive, a little bit more powerful, and I am grateful. There is more I need to tell you about what happened after Richard died. The trial, of course, never happened. You cannot prosecute a dead man, but his associates were tried and convicted. They are all in prison now, serving sentences for theft, conspiracy, elder abuse, and a dozen other charges. The prosecutor said my video footage was crucial evidence, that without it, they might not have been able to make all the charges stick. She said I helped put dangerous people away, people who were preying on the most vulnerable members of society. She called me brave. She called me a hero. I do not feel like a hero. I feel like a woman who got lucky, who happened to fake the pill on the right night, who happened to have a daughter who believed her. Luck and love. That is what saved me. Not heroism, not bravery, just luck and love and timing. But the legal victory did not fix everything. It did not give me back my sense of safety. It did not repair the damage Richard did to my ability to trust. It did not slow down the Alzheimer's. If anything, the stress of everything made it progress faster. I am forgetting more each day. Yesterday I forgot how to tie my shoes. This morning I could not remember what a toothbrush was for. Emily had to show me, had to guide my hand, had to help me with something I have been doing independently since I was 5 years old. It is humiliating. It is terrifying. It is a preview of what is coming, the complete loss of self that waits for me in the not-too-distant future. Emily has started researching memory care facilities. She does not want to. She promised Richard she would never put me in a home, but she has a job. She has her own life, and I am becoming too much for one person to handle alone. I wander now. I have gotten lost in her house multiple times, ended up outside in my nightgown at 3 a.m, no memory of how I got there or where I thought I was going. I have left the stove on. I have flooded the bathroom. I have accused Emily of being an intruder, screamed at her to get out of my house even though it is her house, even though she is my daughter, even though she is the only reason I am safe and cared for. She is exhausted. I can see it in her eyes, in the slump of her shoulders, in the way she sometimes just stands in the doorway of my room and cries when she thinks I am asleep. I am destroying her life the same way Richard destroyed mine. Not intentionally, not maliciously, but destruction does not require intent. Disease destroys. Caregiving destroys. Love destroys when it demands more than a person can give. So yes, I will probably end up in a facility, the exact fate Richard committed crimes to prevent. All of his efforts, all of his schemes, all of his destruction of our marriage and his morality and my trust, it was all for nothing. I am going to end up exactly where I would have ended up if he had just been honest from the beginning, if he had just told me about his cancer, if we had just faced our impossible situation together, instead of him trying to fix it alone through increasingly desperate and illegal means. The irony is not lost on me. Even through the fog, I can see the bitter joke of it all. Richard's love was supposed to save me. Instead, it just delayed the inevitable and made everything so much worse along the way. But maybe that is the real lesson here. Maybe that is what I need you to understand. Love is not enough. Intention is not enough. Caring deeply about someone's well-being is not enough. What matters is how that love manifests. What matters is whether your love respects the other person's autonomy. What matters is whether your love is honest. What matters is whether your love recognizes that sometimes the best thing you can do for someone is let them make their own choices, face their own consequences, live their own life even when that life is hard and painful and not what you would choose for them. Richard loved me. I believe that. Even now after everything, I believe his love was real. But his love was controlling. His love was dishonest. His love prioritized his vision of my future over my right to participate in decisions about my own life. And that kind of love, no matter how well-intentioned, is ultimately a form of harm. If you are a caregiver watching this, please hear me. Please understand that the person you are caring for is still a person, still deserving of truth and choice and dignity. Do not make decisions for them without them. Do not lie to them to protect them. Do not take away their agency because you think you know better. Even if they have Alzheimer's, even if they are confused, even if they cannot remember things from moment to moment, they still have the right to be told the truth. They still have the right to participate in their own life as much as they are able. They still have the right to take risks, make mistakes, have preferences that you do not agree with. Your job is to support them, not to control them. Your job is to enhance their life, not to replace it with your version of what their life should be. Please, learn from Richard's mistakes. Love better than he did. Care better than he did. Be honest even when it is hard, especially when it is hard. And if you are someone with Alzheimer's or dementia watching this, if you are in the early stages and still processing what this diagnosis means for your future, please know that you still have power. You still have voice. You still have the right to set boundaries, to make plans, to tell your caregivers what you want and need and fear. Do it now, while you are still clear enough to articulate it. Write it down. Record videos. Have conversations with your family about what dignity looks like to you, about what you want your care to look like, about what lines you do not want crossed. Make your wishes known while you still can, because there will come a time when you cannot speak for yourself anymore. And when that time comes, you want to be sure that the people making decisions for you understand who you are and what you value and how you want to be treated. Do not wait. Do not assume your family knows. Tell them. Show them. Make it impossible for them to claim they did not know what you wanted. I wish I had done that. I wish Richard and I had sat down after my diagnosis and had honest conversations about the future. I wish I had told him explicitly what I wanted, what I feared, what I needed from him. Maybe if I had, things would have gone differently. Maybe if he had known that I would rather end up in a basic nursing home with my dignity intact than be drugged and used and lied to in my own home, he would have made different choices. Or maybe not. Maybe he would have done exactly what he did regardless of my wishes, but at least I would have tried. At least I would have given him the chance to hear me and honor me. I did not do that. I just assumed we were on the same page. I assumed he understood what mattered to me. I assumed our decades of marriage meant we did not need to spell things out. I was wrong. Never assume. Always communicate. Always make your voice heard while you still have one. The sun is setting now. I am sitting by the window in Emily's living room, watching the sky turn pink and orange and purple. It is beautiful. I will not remember seeing it tomorrow. I will not remember that I told you this story. I will not remember writing Richard's death, or reading his letter, or any of the details I have shared. But right now, in this moment, I remember. And I am grateful for this moment of clarity, this window of time where I am still me, still Eleanor, still capable of thought and speech, and sharing my truth with you. This channel, this community, these stories that get told here, they matter so much. They matter because they give voice to people who are so often silenced. They matter because they create connection between people who feel isolated by their circumstances. They matter because they prove that we are more than our illnesses, more than our struggles, more than the worst things that have happened to us. Every video on this channel is someone's truth. Every story is someone's fight. Every voice is someone refusing to disappear quietly into their diagnosis. And I want you to be part of this ongoing conversation. I want you to subscribe to this channel not as a favor to me, but as a gift to yourself. Because when you subscribe, you are saying that you value these stories. You are saying that you want to hear from people like me, people who have survived things they should not have had to survive, people who have found strength in impossible circumstances, people who refuse to let illness or age or betrayal define them. You are joining a community of resilience, a community of truth tellers, a community of people who believe each other and support each other and remind each other that we are worthy of care and respect and dignity no matter what our brains or bodies are doing to us. So please, if you have not already, hit that subscribe button, not for the algorithm, not to help the channel grow, but for you, for the reminder that you are not alone, for the stories that will show up in your feed and remind you that other people have walked through darkness and survived, for the community that will hold space for your pain and your fear and your truth. Subscribe, because you deserve to have a place where you are seen and heard and valued exactly as you are.